Hello, and welcome back for another Mr. Allen's Random Day video. Today, we start a mini-series on cooking. We're going to do a couple cooking shows the next couple of days. We might not do cooking every single day, but we're going to mostly do cooking. Number one reason why we're going to do that is a lot of kids have asked my entire teaching career why schools don't teach cooking. The answer is pretty simple. It's a budgetary issue. Cooking costs a lot of money when we talk about a school of 700 kids or just 30 kids in a classroom. So it's hard to fund. But I do think it's one of the most important life skills that a kid should have, and I do agree that it should be taught. It just isn't feasible. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our whisks and we're going to put on our aprons and we're going to do a little baking today. Today, we're going to bake something called chewy chocolate brownies. People, I took this brownie recipe from a Nestle Toll House container, powdered chocolate container years ago. This is an amazing recipe, and I guarantee if you make this, you will never have boxed brownies ever again, because these brownies are going to be the best thing you've ever had, and everything else will be disappointing to you. So, let's get to work. The only way to start cooking is by number one, washing your hands. You can sing a little song while you do it, but you need to wash your hands. Otherwise, your gross, nasty germs get in people's food, and that's disgusting. So, here we go. Wash your hands, be a goat, use some soap. Wash your hands, don't be a dope, use some soap. Just like that, people. Now we're all cleaned up, and we're ready to rock and roll. Before you do anything else, especially when you're baking, you need to make sure that you preheat your oven. In this case, our recipe calls for our oven to be preheated to 350 degrees. So we're going to make sure that it's set to go. If you don't do that and you get everything else ready, you're just waiting while the oven's heating, and that's wasted time. So preheat that oven, people. The next step is to measure out all of your ingredients. You do this in a way anytime you're cooking in what's called mise en place. God, that makes me sound so fancy. It's where you measure out all of the ingredients and they're set to go before you even start. So in this case, I have 1 2/3 cup sugar, 1 1/3 cup flour, 2 tablespoons water, 2 teaspoons vanilla, 3/4 cup cocoa powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to have, it calls for 3/4 cup of margarine or butter melted. But I'm going to take and use 1 1/2 cup butter, and I'm going to melt it in a second, but I'm going to show you how to melt it properly. Okay, so you use the microwave to melt it, but you got to get yourself some coffee filters or something to cover a container while you melt butter. Otherwise it pops and it goes all over the place. So you microwave that for a little while, make sure that it's melted, and then I have all of my ingredients ready to rock and roll. That's phenomenal. Okay, so your next step is to make sure that you put a little cooking spray on your pan. Because let me tell you, and I know this from experience, there is nothing more disheartening and saddening than getting everything done perfectly and then getting your first brownie, cutting it out, and then it sticks to the pan because you didn't put any cooking spray on the pan. That's a bummer. Don't be that guy. All right, so here we go. First step is you combine the butter. There's nothing better than butter, water, and sugar in a large bowl. And this segment is brought to you by KitchenAid. If they want to pay me, they can. You just stir, 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 let her go until it's nice and combined. Okay, after that's all combined, you combine in the vanilla. That's awesome. After the vanilla, I forgot to mention that you do have to use 2 eggs in this recipe. So here are 2 eggs taken from a local farmer. Farm fresh eggs, people. Love that. That's great. Then, again, we use our KitchenAid mixer. Oh, God, if KitchenAid would like to pay me any royalties, that would be great. And we combine. God, this is so great. Okay, then we take and we combine all of our powders, our cocoa powder, our flour, our salt, and our baking powder. Wabba! And you know what? We give that a little stir to combine it. You know, just make sure it's all combined. Woo, 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 woo. You could use something called a sifter here in this step if you have it, but Mr. Allen is on a budget and he doesn't buy things that seem unnecessary. So we just use a whisk. There it is. Okay, then you take all your combined powders, you pour it into your fabulously mixed sugar, and you have the start of the greatest brownie batter you'll ever have. Look at this. I got one of these little splash shields. That doesn't really do anything because you're going to notice powder's still going to fly all over the place, even if I put it on the slow mixture. Oh, look at it fly out of there. God, this is so clean. Yep. Then we just mix in the mixer there and combine. So sometimes you have a problem where the mixture gets caught on the side and you gotta take a spatula and just kind of get it all back in the middle so you really get a good mix on it. You don't want to, shorten your mix time or your ability to make sure all the ingredients are in there. Otherwise, it's just not going to taste right. You want good tasting brownies. That's what you want here. Okay, now reminder, you don't want to use your hands to clean things off because it's just kind of nasty. So you use the spatula and you clean off the paddle there. That's what the stir thing is called. And then you make sure that it all goes in the bowl and you have, people, a whole mixture bowl full of glorious brownie mix. That's it. It's literally that easy. Maybe a bit difficult, more difficult than a box recipe, but not much, and it's going to taste 20 times better. I almost forgot Mr. Allen's special touch to the recipe. So I add Reese's peanut butter chips, about a half a bag. Sorry for those of you that have a peanut allergy. And I add dark chocolate morsels, about another half a bag of that, just for more gloriousness. You don't have to add these things, but they're just something that I like to add to, add great flavor. You make sure you mix those in real nice and good. Then we'll be ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now we take and scoop all our batter out of our bowl and we put it all in the pan. I'm gonna have to set you down because I only got 2 hands. Okay, once you finish spreading it all good and make sure it's even, you're done. You are good to go. And now you put it in your preheated oven at 350, and you're gonna put it in there. You're gonna start with 18 minutes. I got one of those fancy Googles, so I go, hey Google, please set 18-minute timer.
18 minutes, and we're starting now.
There it is. Now, I just clean up, set it until she's ready to rock and roll, and she'll beep. Okay, so our timer here is done. We're gonna look, oh my God, they smell fantastic. What you do to test the brownies now, to see if they're done, is you take a toothpick and you're gonna poke it in the middle, push it all the way down to the bottom. Oh, okay. See all that on the bottom? These brownies are not yet done. They're not done until you are going to have a clean toothpick or very close to clean toothpick that comes out. So what you're going to do is you're going to set a new timer for 2 minutes. Okay, so you test the brownies every 2 minutes after the original 18 to see if they're done. When the toothpick comes out, look at that, spotless, then you know you are done. You don't want to go much past that, though, because otherwise you're going to overcook the brownies and then they're going to be like a hard brick, which that's not very good. So you're going to take that tray of brownies out, and now you're just going to let them cool. So you're going to set them on the counter, let them cool, and you are going to have some of the best brownies that you've ever tasted in your entire life. And voila, people. You have a beautiful pan of brownies, homemade from scratch, that is absolutely delightful and delicious. You could throw powdered sugar on there if you want. I like to eat them plain with a very tall glass of milk. Well, there's another day of Mr. Allen's random videos. If you want to check out the recipe, I'll put the link to the recipe in the description for the video itself. Now, to give it a taste. How delicious. You won't be disappointed. Definitely recommend you give these a try. Well, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Stay awesome.